Hello and welcome to Telecom TV. I'm Martin Warwick and we're here at Mobile World Congress 2016 in Barcelona in Spain. And I'm talking with Eric Odell and Antoine Aymer. Eric there, Antoine here, both of whom are Senior Product Marketing Managers for the digital experience with Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Gentlemen, good to see you. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you for having us.
Interesting little bit coming up here, I think, because I'd like to start with this sort of notion. It's been said for quite a long time now that mobile is everything. But things have moved on from then somewhat. And over the past year, 18 months or so, we've seen much more emphasis on the user and the user experience. So tell me, what do you think of that notion? Is mobile everything, or has it changed?
I think it has changed, and I think that we could all agree that mobile is transformational, and I think that we'd also agree that it's disruptive. If you take a look at how mobile has affected customers for businesses, customers have become the most impatient, the most intolerant customers of all time. You know, because of the power of mobility, of portable computing, if you will, they can take their computing with them anywhere that they want. And so now they can have what they want, when they want it, and more often than not, when do they want it? They want it right now. So again, I underscore this notion of them being transformed into the most impatient, the most intolerant consumer of all time. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would add that maybe another aspect of it is that user experience is driven by emotions. So it's not something that you can necessarily measure, right? It's driven by emotions, by perceptions, by the overall sentiment of using a service. So there's differences between usability, which is really the ability to carry out a task successfully, and the experience that are being driven by this usability aspect. And this is extremely complex as well because of this subjectivity. So now if you think about, okay, I want to build a mobile app or a digital experience across different digital touchpoints, how can I measure something which is subjective, right? So we know that good quality apps are essentials, but are not necessarily enough to actually drive a great user experience because of this subjectivity aspect, this emotions aspect of it. And this whole technology aspect, this whole apps actually makes life extremely hard for developers and for app owners to actually achieve anything and measuring this overall UX.
Yeah. So we did our own survey with Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and it was the mobile app usage and abandonment survey, and we found some very astonishing results from this. The survey participants, for the most part, they expect to have an application to load within 4 seconds or less. Okay? They expect to go from screen to screen in 2 seconds or less. And they expect that this application is going to be available. And in fact, one of the things that we found from the survey is that if they don't get what they want when they want it, first they're going to start looking for alternatives. They may completely abandon that app and it'll just lay dormant on that device. But at the end of the day, ultimately they're going to delete that mobile app.
And let me tell you about another use case, Martin. I remember last year in Mobile World Congress, the GSMA team built an app, for us. And the app was actually providing a map of all the different halls, right? But as you were upgrading the map, sometimes just to change a few things, there were some glitches here and there. As you were downing the app was consuming the battery so much that people were actually, chasing a spot when they can, just put in, hook up the devices because the whole battery was, dying, right? And this is so much complex. It's this aspect of performance, of intimacy, of privacy, of speed, and all the impact on resources. And we mentioned earlier as well, we are all foreigners here in Spain, and we are, roaming data. So if I'm responsible for an app, I do not actually want to impact the data plan for my users, right? Because I know they're going to be mad at me and they're not going to, use the app again. So we can see all the various use cases around digital user experience and using mobile applications, which makes life extremely complex.
I'd like to ask you this then. It's always said that the customer's always right. Presumably the same thing applies to the user. Where do you think the user, as in that, whatever the user may be, gets the expectation that everything should be available just like that? How has that happened? Is it as a result of marketing? Is it as a result of usage? Why are people so impatient? Why will they not wait more than 4 seconds for a page load? Do we have any?
I just think that over time, people have experienced this mobility. They've experienced being able to have what they want when they want it. When they're standing at the check stand, they can get onto that mobile app and check their banking account to see if they have the available funds. When they're in the aisle at a store, they're able to do some price comparison right there on the spot.
Sure.
So I think that over time, it just has trained users over just with the usage of mobile applications that they should have it when they want it.
One of the key word here that I really want to say here is the word context. We need, it's a mandate that we deliver services and data in the context of the end users. And there's a lot of things about context aware application. This is really what matters. It's not just providing data and less feature compared to desktop app, for instance. Is how do we provide the right data at the right time in the right location, which is context. And context is not just location; it's the overall atmosphere environment where the users reside.
So, moving it on a bit then. So the user experience, the concept, the notion of it seems rather intangible, and again it comes down to measurement and metrics as well as perception. What do you mean by the user experience in terms of, we've discussed part of it in terms of speed, that kind of stuff, but every user experience must by definition be somewhat different.
Sure, so you're absolutely right here. So moving beyond the subjectivity aspect of user experience, we as practitioners, we need to measure it, right? So let's assume, we're going to start designing mobile applications and measuring the success of what is UX. So there's several aspects behind it. Eric said performance, there's impact on the battery, there's the design of the app, the elegance of the app, the aesthetics of apps. There's also the proactivity aspect of apps, how an app can actually anticipate your need. There's anything that actually help people return, the ongoing a value that you can deliver out, the news, right? And there's notification aspect that some of the practitioners are using to attract users back to using the app again, and rising the use rate of an app. So there's various attributes and qualities that needs to be measured against as we want to measure this great UX.
When you take a look at what Gartner has to say, they say very simply that the user experience is that perceived quality that the user receives when they're trying to achieve a work task. So think about any work task. It doesn't really matter if you're trying to book a flight, or if you're doing banking, or if you're playing a game of blackjack. There is a perception of quality that you expect to have when you're using that application.
Sure.
So if during that time it slows and from screen to screen, and you can't book your seat, you can't confirm your flight, or if it crashes when you're in the middle of a money transfer for your bank, what is going to be your perception of quality?
Absolutely. Okay. So user experience is everything. It's very, very important. Where does an apps team, an application team, begin when you start thinking about this? So the actual concept